Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the day that the Lord has made. And we will do what?
Rejoice.
And be glad in it. Good times, good times. Well, I come before you as the director for NAREB, as well as the president of the Dallas NAACP, and it gives me a great honor and a pleasure to welcome our national president to Dallas, the one and only Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose. We welcome you to the city, and I want you to know, we didn't think it'd be fitting to just give you a roll of red carpet. We gave you all the red carpet. Thank you.
Looking to see if greetings from Jasmine Crockett, District 30, Kendall Lockett, Chief of Staff. I don't see him in just as right now, but is Matt Houston here from the Texas African American Chamber of Commerce? Matt has not made it either. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep proceeding with the introduction of our own national president, and I got something. We always keep it moving because we don't want to delay. And one thing I do know is that Dr. Tommy Lee Brown, he starts on time. I was 15 minutes late, so I'm gonna take that one this time, okay? Now next time, I'm not gonna take it, we're just gonna get started with whomever is here. But I would like to introduce to you all Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose serves as president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the premier network of Black real estate professionals and one of the oldest minority trade organizations in the country with over 100 chapters nationwide. Courtney began her career as a project manager, consultant at Accenture, the world's leading consulting company. In 2002, she earned a Texas real estate broker's license and joined her family's real estate firm, GEJ Development, as a real estate developer and broker specializing in development service, owner representation, master planning, and residential and commercial brokerage services. Since 2019, Courtney has served as CEO of GEJ, and under her leadership, the company has procured contracts with major institutions such as Texas Southern University, the Harris Center of Mental Health, Houston Independent School District, the City of Houston, FDIC, and several banks, small businesses, and families. Courtney is also part of the Community Collective of Houston, which recently acquired the Power Center. If you all haven't been there, I suggest that you all go. A 100,000 square foot multi-purpose facility that includes a small business incubator, event center, urban farm, and private school. Dr. Rose is immediate past chair of the Texas Association African American Chamber, a statewide network of over 25 Black chambers of commerce. Dr. Rose has been a member of NAREB for over 20 years. She has been recognized as Realtist of the Year by her local board, State Association, Region 12, and the National Association of Board President of Houston Black Real Estate Association. Courtney holds a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's degree in community development, and a doctorate in organizational leadership. She is a certified project manager, professional PMP, and a certified commercial investment member, CCIM. Since 2008, she has served as faculty member and educated professor for Prairie View A&M University, where she teaches land development and real estate courses. My alum. Courtney has been featured several times by Black Enterprise magazine and has appeared on the cover of Houston Realtors, National Realtors, Empowered and Real Estate Executive Publication. Courtney is married with 2 children. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her family, traveling, and being active in the community through her sorority sisters, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And Courtney also has a loving husband that always pushes her out there to say, hey, go and take care of NAREB. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet and help me welcome our national president, Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose.
Thank you so much. Can I move this a little closer to me? Perfect. Thank you so much, Pastor. You all, while we're in the mode for standing, let's stand again and thank Dr. Brown for hosting us today, for his leadership in the city. This is a beautiful facility that you have nurtured and built, and we are so honored on behalf of NAREB to be at New Mount Zion. So thank you, sir, for hosting us. Thank you, sir. I want to also recognize First Lady. She's working up there, and thank you so much. We appreciate you. She is really behind the scenes making stuff happen. So thank you. We honor you. And I want to just first thank our NAREB Dallas president, Ms. Sheila Lucas. Ms. Sheila Lucas is a sister that makes it happen. So let's give her a president. She's doing a great job. Our chair of the board for Dallas, Mr. Rashad Thomas, we're so proud of you. Thank you, Rashad. And we have NAREB. And we have NAREB royalty in the house. So I'm just going to do some quick shout outs, Pastor, if you don't mind. We have Miss Ira Thomas here, which we have not seen in a long time. I'm so honored to see you. We have past First Lady of NAREB, Ms. Kim Wimbush here. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Okay, now, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm going to keep on going. To the other side, I saw Miss Pat Douglas is here. This is someone who has been a mentor to me that I just appreciate so much. We have our presidents from North Texas, Ms. Mash Day is here. Thank you for being here. Our president from North Texas is here. Ms. Shoeby, please stand. Thank you for being here. So we again have NAREB royalty. Our national board member you heard from, Dr. Shane Middlebrooks, also Monty Brown is part of our national team as audit committee chair. So just know we are rolling deep in here today. Thank you all so much for the support. So at NAREB, pastors, we are realtists, and I really want you all to embody that word, because when we were founded in 1947, as our video shared, we were not able to become realtors. So our 12 founders founded the Realtist, and Realtist has been focused specifically on our community and helping us build wealth through real estate. So in NAREB, we say it's a great time to be a realtist, because we know right now more than ever is our time that we have to focus in and hone in on our community and what we need to bring our community forward. So I want to share a little bit of data with you all and then correlate that into what we feel like at NAREB is our next steps to get our community on track for wealth building. I heard a stat a couple of years ago that was startling, and that was by 2050, if we don't change our habits as African Americans in this country, we will reach zero net worth. That is a national emergency for our community. In 2050, I pray that we're still here by 2050 and part of this society, but we are losing wealth as we go. Our president mentioned what to do with Big Mama's house. We're losing Big Mama's house. And that's so hurtful, because our grandparents bought those houses with second and third grade educations through all types of discrimination, through redlining and the banks telling them no, through very aggressive owner financing and contract notes. They still bought those homes, and now 20, 30, 40 years later, we can't get along with our siblings and our cousins and everybody else to figure out who's gonna cut the grass and who's gonna pay the taxes and everything else. So we have forgotten how important real estate is to our community. So NAREB is on a mission to bring that importance back. So just know how grateful I am for you all being here with us today. And we hope and pray that this is time well spent. I do want to recognize our DeSoto Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Letitia Hughes is here. DeSoto is a growing city. We had the chance to visit this morning, and it is just a growing area, and just so glad to see her representation here. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And she's going to be a part of our 100 City Tour. So we're very excited about that. Thank you. Give it up for Royalty just came in the room. I always have to respect and identify our elders. Mr. Billy Scott is one of our oldest members of the National Association of Retail Elders. Thank you, Mr. Scott. We appreciate you. So let's get started, and I want this to be interactive. We have a lot to cover, but I'm prayerful that, again, it'll be great information. So, Madam First Lady, we are ready. So NAREB produces a report called The State of Housing in Black America. We've produced this report for the past 11 years. This report is significant because we are telling our story from the perspective of practitioners that work with Black consumers every single day. So we are boots on the ground. NAREB is a network of real estate brokers, Black agents, Black appraisers, Black property managers, Black developers. We are the full industry for African Americans. And through our organization, we have several MOU partnerships, so several other organizations that we partner with to do activities and wealth building and share this report with. We are very proud to announce that we just signed a national MOU with the National Baptist Convention with Dr. Kim Boyd. So we're excited about this partnership and working on a plan that information like what's in our State of Housing Black America report trickles down to all of the National Baptist churches across the country. So just know that I know that he would be pleased that we're here today at New Mount Zion starting that actual effort. So here I'm going to start with some local data on the first slide, on the next slide. And we have some data that we produced that shows the city of Dallas and the population of Dallas core. And we have found that this is pretty consistent. Atlanta and Houston and Detroit and all of these major cities across the country. But white population about 27%, Hispanic population about 43%, Black about 23%, Asian about 4%. Next slide, please. So what we look at is if we're 23% of the population, our data that we're using is called HMDA data. And HMDA data shows you everyone that applied for a mortgage and tried to get a home, whether they were approved, whether they went through the application process, whether they were rejected, and what does the computer system say the reason why they were rejected for that loan. So we're looking at that type of quantitative data. So in the city of Dallas core, 26% of Blacks are homeowners versus 52% of whites are homeowners. When we look at the total mortgages that were done in the city, and this is from 2023, out of the 20,421 mortgages, 11,000 were given to white families. That's half. 2,600 given to Black families, 4,900 Hispanic families, 1,700 given to Asian families. So out of us being 23% of the population, we're only getting about 11 to 12% of the mortgages. We're going to talk about why. The loan denial rate for African Americans is 23%. So that's almost 1 in 4. So we have the challenge as realtors of getting somebody motivated and pumped up and ready to buy a house. We got to work on the mindset first to get you ready to buy. Then we put you in a position to try to get you to buy, and then you go to the bank, and 1 out of 4 of us don't get approved. and have to start the process all over again. So that's the kind of uphill battle that we are fighting. Why aren't we getting approved? We look at this data specifically by different segments of our population. Let's talk about Black women first. So Black women lead our race in terms of mortgage applications. It's Black women first, it's Black men next, and then the third group is Black couples. Now, pastors, that's a sermon all in itself. That can be a sermon all in itself because you're more likely to get approved as a Black couple working together. Both incomes, both credits working together gives you the most likelihood to get approved. In the white culture, it's white couples, it's white men, and then it's white women. But our culture is completely the opposite. So that's more of seeing how our social issues with our Black family correlates back on paper to this data. So with that, we see the number one reason why Black women don't get approved. It's not credit, it's not income. We're maintaining good credit, we're keeping good incomes. Number one reason why Black women don't get approved is debt to income ratio. The sisters, the matriarchs of our families are handling too much debt. And when it comes time to get to the mortgage company and say that I want to qualify for a $300,000 house, I can't qualify because I have too much debt. And let's talk about the debt. Where's the debt coming from? We had a client come into our office, sharp sister, master's degree. She was an administrator in the HISD school district. And she had a great job, 6 figures, et cetera, et cetera. We couldn't get her qualified. I went to my agent and said, how come you can't get her qualified? She make over $100,000 a year. What are you doing wrong? So he said, well, they just said that her debt was too high. So I went and I looked at the file. Sister had 5 car notes on her credit. So let's talk about the car note. So the first one was hers, because you gotta have transportation to get back and forth to work. Second one was her daughter. Her daughter was a senior in high school, needed to, cheerleading and all that kind of stuff, so her daughter had a car note. Third one was her son. Her son was a sophomore at college, and she had him a car so he can get back and forth to school. So she's carrying all this debt. The fourth one was her mother's car. Her mother had got her credit messed up and needed transportation, so she put her mother's car on her credit. Now the fifth one was very interesting. She'd been divorced for 2 years, but she still had the ex-husband's car on her credit. Because when they got divorced, he didn't have good enough credit to put the car in his name. So every month he makes the car note. He pays the car note directly to the car dealership. But when it comes to debt to income ratio, it's on her credit. So these are the types of issues that we're dealing with in our community. Okay, so that's the first segment. The second segment is Black men. What we're finding with Black men is they are not applying for loans at the same rate. So we have 1.75 million Black millennials that make over $100,000 a year that have not purchased real estate. And a lot of our young Black men are in that category. They don't want to do the maintenance. They don't want to be out in the suburbs. They don't want to live too far. Their job is moving them around, so they're not settled down yet. I'm not ready to get married and settle down and go to the suburbs, but they're making the money, but they're not building wealth. So we got to get to our brothers to say, hey, you got to do this. Doesn't matter whether you have the wife and the children yet. This is how you establish yourself as a young man, making good income. That's your next step, is homeownership. So we are seeing this, and because of this data, it's positioning us to create initiatives and programs to help us overcome some of these challenges. Next slide, please. So one of the major things that we're seeing as well is, number one is our loan denial rate. So again, 1 out of 4 of us get denied for the loan. And then the second major challenge, and I apologize that this may be hard to see, but this project, next slide, please. So next, there's 2 types of developers. One, there's a traditional developer, and then there's a community-based developer. Both developers contribute equity to projects, own the finished products, receive financial returns, but the community So just know that you have the opportunities, pastors, to be community developers, where the projects makes money, the projects cash flow, the projects are self-sustainable, but you also do something impactful with that project also too. Real estate changes people's lives. There are stats that we have at NAREB that show children that live in a home that their parents own have better behavioral. They have less behavioral issues at school. They do better in math and English when they feel settled and they're not moving every 2 years and they're not worried about where we're going to live. They have less behavioral issues. This is a proven stat. Families that own a home tithe more in church. That's a proven stat. Families that live in a home that they own are more likely to vote. We may not have what we have in the White House now. We have more black home ownership, more people voting and taking advantage of that. So there's so many benefits to home ownership. Let's skip ahead 2 slides. So how do you identify and qualify a project? Go back 1 slide for me. Thank you. So this is the formula. If there's anything that you remember today, remember this formula. You have the area that you're trying to serve. You're looking at the needs of that area, and you're filling that need. You find the need, and you fill it. You find the need, and you fill it. And the reason why I love talking to pastors is because you all know the need. You hear from everybody. You hear from your members. What's the need? Oh, this is just horrible. We got to fix these schools. Okay, but we need to have a school as part of our church ministry because the education quality is not good. All the mothers are coming into the church telling you about what's happening at the schools. Or you say, we don't have anywhere to live. We have to travel 20 miles every Sunday just to get to church. And we stop coming on Wednesday nights because the traffic is too bad to travel through Dallas, but I want to live next to the church, but there's nothing that we can afford. Well, wait a minute, we need some affordable housing by the church so that our members can be a part of ministry. They can't get here. They want to be a part, but they can't get here. I'm finding a need and I'm filling it. All of these things are needs. We had a project, one of our clients, he was assigned a church, Methodist church, beautiful historic church, but it was in downtown Houston. He showed up to the door. They met him there to give him the keys. This is his new church. And he had a big vision of all the stuff he was going to do and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? It was homeless people everywhere, sleeping at the foot of the church. So all of a sudden, all of his plans for ministry and things he was going to do for children and stuff that was in his heart to do changed because where I am, my area told me the need, which was homeless, and now I have to fill that need, and I have some examples of how we helped him fill that need. But that's where you have to see, where am I at? What needs do my community have? And how can I use real estate to fill that need? Okay, we got to speed up. Okay, firstly, we're going to go to how do you qualify a real estate project? And please note that we can make these slides available if we can send them out to everybody. So, first thing you need is a market analysis. And a good real estate broker can do that for you, member of NAREB. Study of your existing site, your building conditions. What are we working with? New construction, renovation costs. We got to budget this out and plan it. What are my financing options? What is my financial analysis? How do I make this sustainable? What's my feasibility? My environmental, my flooding, my zoning, availability of utilities, the history of the site. Sometimes you see land that's been sitting there for a long time, and that's a good reason why it's been there for a long time, because there may be some environmental issues. Timing is everything in real estate. As you see gentrification happening, as you see neighborhoods turning over, that's a timing issue. And in real estate, it's very, very, very critical, and it can be very, very lucrative if you hit real estate, certain locations at the right time. You've seen situations where you waited too long, and now you can't buy that land anymore because the price has went up. So timing, pastors, you got to be thinking about timing. Your initial purchase price, all of these things are part of how do you qualify a Next slide, please. The development process. So development process is a series of steps that are required to take the idea of development and turn it into a completed project. A series of steps. We're going to walk through steps. And for this presentation, I'm going to explain these steps, but just know this is what your team guides you through. Next slide, please. So these steps, you have 5 major steps. First is your concept stage. Second is your feasibility. Third is your deal making and financing. Fourth is project construction. 5 is operation or sale. Again, concept, feasibility, deal making and financing, construction, operation or sale. These are your 5 major steps of real estate development. And at each step, you have to make a decision. Do you go or do you no go? So let's go to the development concept. So in this phase, Pastor, very important that you write the vision. You have your concept, identify your area, your site, gain site control, identify your partners and your development team. What's my concept? What is it that I want to actually do? And your defined financial program. How does this make money? How does this sustain itself? If you have a good concept, you make the decision to go. You don't have a good concept, it can't sustain itself, so it's a no-go. Or you may need to modify. So again, you get past the concept step. Next slide. Your key questions at this step that you ask: who owns the development? Are we joint venturing, or do we own it as the church? What are we building? Are we building for sale? Are we building for lease? Are we creating homeownership opportunities? Are we creating affordable rental? Who is the development team? Who's on my team? Who's going to do the loan? Who's the developer we're going to hire? Who's our architect, our attorney, our contractor? Next slide. Then we move to the feasibility study. Feasibility is so critical. The analysis of all the assumptions regarding the market, the site, your performer, your development performer. One big thing in real estate. A lot of times we've worked with churches, and the focus and the focus and the focus of the pastor is, can I get this up? Can I build it? Do I have the money to build it? Can we get the loan? Can we get the grant? Can we build a capital campaign? And we build it. That's great. But how are we going to sustain it? How does it make money? How do we pay the taxes on it? We have a lot of churches that weren't used to paying taxes. But if you do a real estate development, income producing property, guess what? You pay taxes now. So how do we pay the taxes? How do we maintain it? Everything doesn't stay new for long. 5 years from now, we need to start looking at the plumbing systems. 10 years from now, it needs a brand new roof. The ACs go out every summer when it gets 100 degrees. All of that has to be calculated and budgeted for. Next slide. The deal-making decision point. At this phase, when you're going for financing, all elements of the project have been made definite. Letters of commitment, contracts, loan documents, all of these things that you have to have put together, again, that your team does for you. Next slide. Project construction. A lot of times I want to note this too. We've gone through 3 steps before we get to construction. We've gone through the majority of the process before any dirt starts to move. You ever been driving down the street and you see some construction stuff happening and they move through? You say, wow, look at that. They just started that project. That project could have been going on for years of planning and praying and acquisition and permits and feasibility and starting over and starting back again. That's all very, very possible. So no, the construction phase is not the beginning. That's getting towards the finish line. Next slide. And then your operation or sale, your project's complete, and you have that opportunity to be a rental or a sales project. I do want to mention this chart to you all. If you can skip to the next slide for me, okay? Hopefully this is readable. But this is a good rule of thumb, and if you kind of keep some documents, this is one to keep. On your 5 stages, and the amount of time and the amount of money it potentially takes to do each of these stages. So when you look at your concept stage, I'm developing my vision, I'm putting my team together. That is typically 5 to 20% of your time. So in a 3-year project run or span, we're looking at 8 to 31 weeks that you're spending on that concept stage, and about 0 to 5% of your costs. So does it cost you much? which is 16 to 31 weeks, and 5 to 15% of your costs. So now you're having to spend a little bit of money. If you're looking at a $10 million project, you can start putting some numbers to this. Have to spend a little money on surveys, on soil tests. Some stuff is starting to roll. You got consultants. Now you got a team. People want to get paid, so you got to manage that piece. Then you move into your planning and financing. So imagine this. It takes money to go get money. So to be in a position to get financing, you got to spend money to position yourself. You need your architectural plans, your engineering plans, etc. So that's about 15 to 25% of your time and about 15 to 30% of your money. So what I'm stressing is you can spend 15 to 30% of the project budget before you get to the bank. So that preparedness that we talked about is very important to be ready for a real estate development project. And then you get to construction. Construction is 30 to 60% of your time, the bulk of it, and 40 to 75% of your budget. But now you're typically in the bank loan stage, and then your sales and your rent up, that's where you start to get your money back and start to make your project productive. But just know that this is a typical cycle of a project. Now, in real estate, nothing's really typical, but just know that this is what we would give as a good rule of thumb. Next slide, please. So next slide is why not churches? Why not churches do the real estate development in our communities? You know the area, you know the needs, you understand the culture, you own land, you need to diversify your income anyway. There's several studies that I've been seeing post-COVID. People haven't come back to church in the same way once they got out of the habit. People don't give money in the same way. There was a study on black baby boomers versus black millennials. And black millennials will give, but they'll give to charities and things of that nature versus black baby boomers gave to church. I remember my grandmother's church was a Baptist church, and it had on the side of the wall, y'all remember that board that they used to have on who gave? You can't do that to black millennials. They will not show up on you. But that's a culture change, and it's making it the need for churches to diversify their income. You interact with the potential users every day. You understand the needs. You understand the population. And most importantly, you care. You care, you care, you care. So in my last few minutes, I want to just kind of walk through a couple of projects to try to give some examples of some things that can be done in community development. Again, we're talking about community development, not just traditional development, but community development. So this project is called the Power Center. It's in Houston. It was a 110,000 square foot Kmart building that was blighted, abandoned, spray paint all over the building. You go in the parking lot, it's glass broken all in the parking lot, prostitution happening in the building, drug trafficking happening in the building. Have y'all seen these buildings in our communities? These big boxes, the grocery store leaves, the anchor leaves, and they just leave this big building. So we were able to acquire this building, and it's gone through several renovations over the years, but we operate it now as the community collective for Houston. And through that nonprofit, we have a Black Business Incubator. We have 30 businesses that operate in this center, and we provide services through them through the SBA. They have SCORE that's in there that do mentoring and coaching. We have a beauty shop, we have a barber shop, we have an eye doctor, we have a general medicine doctor, we have an OBGYN, all within this building. We even got our own Black Starbucks. We do smoothies, they do smoothies, croissants, frappuccinos, etc., all in this building. Then we have a large event center. We have 50,000 square feet of event space. We host the AKAs on third Saturdays. We host the Deltas on second Saturdays. We got the Zetas. It's our community meeting spot. February, every Saturday, we have a different NACP chapter doing their Freedom Banquet here at the Power Center. We also have the nation's largest Black-owned private school is here. They occupy 45,000 square feet of the building, the Imani School, which is a world-renowned private Christian school. But all of this happens at the old Kmart. It has 5 acres in the back. We have half of it that we use for a playground and football field for the kids. The other half we have as an urban farm. We have a commercial kitchen where we make all of the food fresh for the school and for the banquet events that we have. But all of it came from Kmart. So what's the vision for this big, dilapidated, spray painted on building? What can we do to find the need and fill it? It's sitting there anyway. So let's think about that. So that's one example. Next slide. This is a community called Grand Park Square. This was the first new home development done in a black area in Houston called South Union. And this was a community, had older houses, but it's like the community never was finished. So it's all of these vacant lots. Then you have lots, and then you have houses, then you have lots, and then you have houses. This had never had sidewalks. The lots had never been platted. It was just vacant land, kind of in the middle of this black community. We were able to go in, and we did this deal as what's called a real estate syndicate. So a syndication is where you get developers to come together. You have a general partner, and then people invest in the partnership as limited partners. So we were able to put this together to be able to build 32 homes in this community. And it was, again, the first major investment done in this black area with new homes in several years. Very interesting to this. Most of our buyers for this 32 homes were young black professionals that said they wanted to live in the community, but they wanted something new. They wanted to be closer to their grandmother and closer to where they grew up at, but they didn't have anything that I liked, that had the granite countertops, that had the this and the that. So when you build it, they will come. They want it to be in the neighborhood. It happens to be close to the medical center, it happens to be close to downtown, very well located, but that product wasn't there. So we were able to give a 20% investor, to 20% return to the investor money, but we were able to do this without the bank, which is really, really important. Next slide, please. So this is one of the communities we're very proud of. This is called Corinthian Point. Corinthian Point is a 234-acre development. It's been the largest development to date done by a nonprofit in the country. This is part of Windsor Village United Methodist Church. How this started was the pastor told my father that we needed 3 acres. Evander Holyfield was a member of the church, famous boxer, gave $1 million to do a prayer center and go find 3 acres close to the church to build this prayer center. Evander gave us the money. My dad went out, tried to find 3 acres, went to the land right adjacent behind the church. First the seller said no, he wouldn't sell. Okay, gave him a couple months, prayed on, came back. He said, I'll sell it, but you gotta buy all 234 acres. All we needed was 3 acres, remember that? He said the only way you can get it is if you take all of it. So we went back to the pastor, and they said, okay, help us figure out a master plan of what we can do with 234 acres. And the church bought 234 acres. And this was the first piece of this project, was the master plan, to plan this out. So this community started with 460 homes that were built. We used something called a tax increment reinvestment zone to do the streets and the roads, to be able to build the infrastructure. We gave 5 acres to the school district so they can build a school. You got children and families, now you give the land to the school district, they build a school. Once we did that, the YMCA in 3rd Ward, which is one of our major black areas, was shutting down. The YMCA was in trouble. They're all in the newspaper, people in the uproar. We said, hey, YMCA, y'all want some land to build a YMCA here? They said, yeah, we need help. YMCA came in. The goal was always for multi-generational of the development. We needed to free up capital, so we sold parcels to Walgreens. And when you sell to Walgreens, guess who comes next? CVS. So then CVS wanted the parcel right across the street, so we sold to CVS. We went to the black McDonald's operators, and we got a black franchise owner of McDonald's to come in and bring in McDonald's, Taco Bell, Advanced Auto Parts. So these franchises are part of the development. We did a medical class, so Texas Children's Pediatrics was looking for a location to do, because they look at data, and the data shows we get a lot of emergency room calls coming from this zip code, so we want to do a clinic. And we said, okay, we want to do a clinic. How much land do you need? They said, we're not in real estate business. We're in healthcare. We want to do a 10-year lease. Well, wow, we want to do a 10-year lease? Well, guess what? We'll build a retail center, put you as the anchor, and what other support services do you want next to you? So this whole community was master planned. But guess what, pastors? All we started off with, we just wanted 3 acres. So just know that the plan can come into action by seeing the need and feeling it. If you move to some of the next slides, it'll show some of the things. That's the Kingdom Builders Center that anchors the development. This is a 200,000 square foot multi-use facilities. That's 2 super Walmarts on the bottom, 2 super Walmarts on the top, is how big this is. There's a gym, charter school, bookstore, entrepreneur center, all that happens within this facility. Next slide. This is just 4 plans of the KBC. Keep going, ma'am. This is the senior living facility, 132 unit. So you have 460 homes, you have 132 senior living facility for 55 plus. Next slide. This is the retail center that Texas Children anchors. Next slide. This is one of the last phases that we still need to do, and this is for the multi-generational living, is mixed-use development of townhomes. So we have the single-family homes, we have the senior housing facility. There's a big need for townhomes and that kind of condo-style living for single adults. This next project is St. John's in Tenements Place. Remember the pastor I shared, Pastor Rudy Rasmus, who inherited the church, and the homeless population was right there with him. This is a project that we did for him. We did the church renovation. They also added a soup kitchen to that development where they feed about 1,000 people per day, because again, that's their area, that's the need, they're feeling it. This second piece, go back one. This second piece, that second picture, is the Knowles Tenements Project. Beyonce Knowles is a member of this church. This was her home church, so she gave $1 million to do this facility. This is a 55-unit facility of what's called SROs. So SROs are single resident occupancies, and these are units. It's just one big room, has a little kitchenette, bedroom, bathroom, but it's designed for women coming out of battered relationships. They can stay in this facility for 6 weeks to get on their feet. We have a job training center there, computer lab there, and a dress for success there. So it's designed to give them a landing pad to be able to be there for 6 weeks, get themselves together, and hopefully get a job and be able to be sustainable. So that was done by the Knowles family. Next slide. This is Tenements 2, which is part 2 of this, that same concept. This is transitioning people from homelessness. This is 168 units, but it was a part 2 of the Tenements project. Next slide, please. This is the Bethune Empowerment Center. Love this project. This was the vision of Mayor Sylvester Turner. So when Sylvester Turner was mayor of Houston, there was a school that everybody in Acres Homes, where he was from, went to. It was the elementary school called Bethune Academy Center. And the population numbers of charter schools and everything else had gotten so low that they had to close the school down. And everybody showed up at City Hall upset and mad about the school closing down. But from a school district perspective, they didn't have the numbers and the population, et cetera, keep it going. So he had the vision, and we're very proud to be a part of this project of creating the Bethune Empowerment Center. So we took this school, anybody know schools that has shut down? We took this school and we have renovated it into the Bethune Empowerment Center. Next slide, please. So the Empowerment Center has a computer lab, has a commercial kitchen, ghost kitchen where caterers can go, and instead of catering out of their home, they have a big job on a Saturday, they can lease out a ghost kitchen. AT&T put a computer lab. Next slide, please. Lone Star College, and just keep on scrolling through those because I have a few of them. Lone Star College is doing a training program there where you can learn how to make satellites and EV charging stations. So members of our community can go in their community to class and be able to learn how to do EV charging stations and build those charging stations right there at the Bethune Empowerment Center. So God bless Sylvester turning that vision that's really a reality right now. This last project, if you go back a couple of slides, is the Edison Center. You can stop there. So the Edison Center is another redevelopment project, and we love these. This was a Kroger Center. So this was a center, 12 acres, anchored by Kroger. Kroger left the community. Same situation, blighted, spray paint all over everywhere, glass all in the parking lot. We've been able to redevelop this. This will open up this summer, and it is a arts center. So we have 120 unit tax, low income housing tax credit apartment complex that we put in first, and then we have refaced this full center to be a 400 seater performing arts center, after school program, 3 restaurants, festival room, the whole 9 yards, but out of a dilapidated retail center that had sat there. The capital stack for this includes the City of Houston Community Development Block Grant dollars, was the first catalyst project. Representative Al Green has appropriations of $3 million for this project, and a lot of philanthropic efforts was part of this fundraising effort to bring this $56 million project into fruition. But again, it was about the need, the area, and filling that need. So I'm prayerful, pastors, that we have shown you the opportunities in real estate. It starts off with the vision. Then it starts off with building the right team and being able to understand the needs of your community and filling those needs. And I personally believe that pastors know those needs more than anybody else. It's just a matter of finding a need and filling it. I want to see if there's time for questions from the audience. I want to thank Madam First Lady for clicking through the slides and hanging with us. I certainly appreciate it. But are there questions just on the real estate development process? State of housing in Black America. Yes, sir.
Mic check. Okay. What is the recommended acreage of property that ideally you'll be looking for?
It just depends. You can do real estate on anything. I'll give an example. We have one of our members in NAREB that's graduate of our Developers Academy. He's doing the first permitted tiny home community in Houston right now. And the whole lot size is 15,000 square feet. So it's not an acre, it's not even a half acre. And they're doing 8 units on that 15,000 square feet. So just know if you got a lot, we can build a house. If you got 15,000 square feet, we're putting 8 tiny homes on that. Good question.
Good morning. The capital stack, as a real estate broker and lender in development, that's one of the biggest problems we have is the capital stack and not understanding or having a loan officer or consultant in that. So as an organization, do you foresee creating blocks of capital stacks already in place so they can plug in and not have to worry about that?
Yes, so NAREB has created the NAREB Development Fund, which is, our goal is to, it's a loan fund, but our goal is to apply for CDFI status. If President Trump keeps CDFIs, we just got to stay prayerful. But the goal is to be able to create this full ecosystem for NAREB developers. And the goal of the NAREB Development Fund, our loan fund, is pre-development dollars. So pre-development is your survey and your architecture fees. We're talking about microloans from $5,000 to $50,000. Now, if you have that type of capital to get you started, now you're in a position to go to LISC, or to go to Wells Fargo, or to go to some of the major banking institutions once you have your project formulated. But where we get stumped at a lot of times is that initial capital. We see it, we know what needs to happen, but I don't have $5,000 for phase one and $2,000 for a topography survey and $4,000, and it just keeps going and going and going. But you see the project, and there'll be lenders that will want to lend on the project, but you have to do some of these initial things first. So just know that we're trying to be very specific with our fund and fill that gap for the NAREB developers. Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The issue of zoning, we are in a residential area,
Okay.
and what would the issues or the hurdles be in trying to establish development in areas where you are restricted?
Yeah, so I'm in Houston, we don't have zoning, so
Right.
that's a good thing about Houston. It makes things a little crazy though. But this is where your relationships with your city planning office, your council members make a big difference. I live in a suburb of Houston that does have zoning called Missouri City, and I served on Planning and Zoning Commission for 8 years. And every month, we had a meeting and somebody came in to apply for a change in zoning. So just know you can change zoning. You work with the staff, you put together the application, you make your presentation of why. So you may just have to change the zoning and work with the city planning department to actually do that. But that is possible.
We only have time for 2 more questions. I got Mr. C.E. Reynolds, and I did have this gentleman here, and I'm gonna let Jed also speak.
Good morning. This question is regarding tax consequences when you're dealing with churches and the collaboration with private money. Is there a type of entity that they could set up in order to go forward with development?
Say the question.
As far as the tax consequences, most churches are nonprofits.
Yes, sir.
And there's tax consequences when you start in development and you collaborate
Yes.
with private money, and that collaboration has to have some type of, is that a syndication or some type of?
Yes. So thank you. Great question. So the one advice that I would give is always case by case, but the one advice that I would give is to plan for taxes. And we work with a lot of faith-based institutions that have never had to pay taxes. I'll give an example. The KBC Center, the 2 Walmarts on the bottom and on the top. First 2 years, tax exempt. 3rd year, they realized it was there. Wait a minute, what's going on? And the building portions of it, the taxes have to be paid on. I'll give an example. We have a lease with neighborhood centers. They have a Head Start program. So the same area that the church uses every Sunday for childcare is used during the week for a Head Start program. Well, guess what? That's income into the church. So that's a tax bill. The Power Center building that I shared with you all, we have tried 3 years in a row to get tax exempt, and the city of Houston County will not give it to us. They say we went to your website, we see that y'all have the AKAs and y'all have weddings and people do their birthday parties and y'all making money over there. So we are not giving y'all the tax. We said, wait a minute, we got an urban farm, we got this, we got that. They will not give it to us. So just know once you get into this arena, and even if your projects are community-based, if it makes money, you have to prepare for taxes. So just know that you have to plan accordingly and budget accordingly for it, because it's very difficult to continue to get the same tax advantages once you have income producing, tenants and assets like that? Great question, though. Great question.
Hello. So, have you guys ever thought about doing a syndication within the organization? Like you gotta think about this. 100 chapters, right? You take, let's say there's 100 people in the room, we all throw in 10K each, that's $1 million. Boom, that's why you put down on a loan. But it's also a way to build wealth for.
Yes. So we have an example here. Monty,
That's my brother.
we have an example here. Working together with their own investment group. And I did see Laura Washington is our state president. She came in. Laura, please stay. I want to recognize our state president, Ms. Laura Washington. And also, too, as Laura also co-chairs our conferences, and we had the opportunity to have our investment group led by Monty and others from here, from the Dallas chapter, do a presentation at Nationals on how you start those. The project that I showed, Gray Park Square, those are NAREB members in Houston also, too, that we did that project through. So just know it is happening.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. Excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
As we talk about building wealth and the exclusion of the Black community from building generational wealth, in my professional career, I'm the real estate manager for a major municipality. I won't mention it because I'm at work right now. One of the biggest heartbreaks that I see, my team, we acquire property for public projects for the city, is when we go into communities, particular specific communities in Dallas, and we have to acquire property. Property owners who are absentee, who have not maintained the taxes, who have not maintained the property, who have cloudy titles. Since we have money to pay them to acquire property for them for today's market rate, a property that was their grandmother's property that was bought for $15,000 40 years ago, 50 years ago, now worth $300,000 that we're prepared to pay them. That could make a huge difference in that family's life. I can't tell you the times that I've gone into my office and tried to find somebody to call and say, in that family, and say, hey, clean up your title. What is NAREB doing to help educate our communities on the wealth they're losing out on because they bury their heads in the sand, not take responsibility, and we have to come in and take that property through eminent domain.
Yes.
And they never receive those funds.
Receive the benefit. Thank you for that question. Really, really appreciate it.